I can see myself though, right? Where's the secretary at? The other one.
What other one?
My assistant. Am I live? Am I live? All right. I'm live here. Here you are with the Grooves Rant for this day. And listen, we want to talk about Colorado primetime recruiting pimping. All right. And also Shannon Sharpe's exit from FS1. Try to stay with me here. I don't have a script, I'll just kind of give it to you raw. So forgive me if I seem like I'm a little bit all over the place. But we're going to start with primetime pimping, the recruiting of players for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Bucks. And, first of all, what we have here is a lot of young men who are coming in. Colorado has this camp where they invite 400 players to, try out to try to be a dog for the Colorado Bucks. If this isn't desperate recruiting, I don't know what is. Most coaches who are Power 5, they know who their players are. They can identify them. They have a list. They do grades on them. And they bring them in. And we want to believe that's the case with Deion Sanders and Colorado, but that's not the case. You're trying to just throw as much on the wall and see what sticks. So I don't know if that's really recruiting. You're just hoping that you get lucky. Hopefully some of these young men will flash and get a scholarship to Colorado, not just to play in the NFL, because we know what the percentages are, even though that's what's being preached to these men, is NFL prosperity, taking care of mama. Not everyone is Deion Sanders. Sure, all of you have talent in your own right as players, but don't feel the burden of this man who's just prime pimping, is exactly what he's doing. All right? This man hasn't been hood. Actually, he's really never been hood. He might have lived in the hood, but he's never been hood. And it's not because he doesn't drink or smoke. At least I don't think he drinks. Only drugs I know that he's allegedly have done is PEDs when he played for Atlanta. His name was on the Mitchell report. He'll never admit it. It's allegedly, but we don't have the facts because those names were blacked out. But back to the recruits. He brings them in, these young men a lot of them from disadvantaged areas who have NFL dreams. And there's nothing wrong with that. Believe in yourself, believe in your talent. But again, don't feel the burden of someone like Slime saying, are you built for this? Are you that dog? Who's going to blah, 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 blah? Just do your best. The most important thing is getting your education. Leave there with a degree. And we'll see how many of those young men that he brings in actually leaves with a degree, because that's what he said that he's going to be promoting. You see, he makes sure his blood sons get their degrees. Let's see if he does it. We'll be tracking to see which of these students, not the graduate students that have come in who've already used up their 4 years but has an extra year eligibility, but these young men that are sophomores, juniors, who just want to play football, coming to a university that only has about 700 Black students total. That's including the sports, the people on the sport, the young men and women on sports teams. And so he's giving them gold chains. At least I see him coming in with, these gold medallions. And listen, everybody wants to jump on me every time that I say something about Slime. It's like, this is a grown man. He can speak for himself. Everyone wants to invalidate everything that I say just because it goes against what they believe. And that's fine. We can agree to disagree. Again, like I said, I'll be here for the smoke. But these young men should be getting education as well. I know they're going to be treated like mules. There's a lot of them that don't have NIL deals who are just coming in, and he's just going to use them up. Now, he has one player from Jackson State. I'll give you an example. He doesn't really care about you guys. And I know some people say, well, what coaches do care about their players? There's a lot of coaches that care about their players, you know? And there's some who don't, but we're talking about Slime in Colorado. In fact, he had a player at Jackson State named Savion Wilkerson, who's in the transfer portal, cannot find a place to play. You think Deion's going to invite him to Colorado? He hasn't. You think he cares about that young man's education? He said Charlie Offerdahl was a dog. He's on the roster. I don't know if he's on scholarship or not, but he's still on the roster, which is kind of peculiar considering all the other running back talent he brought in. Like, where are the carries for Charlie Offerdahl that you bragged about in the meeting and said he's a dog, that's why you know his name? No, you know that he's from Littleton, Colorado, a suburb, young white kid, and you don't want to get in complete bad blood with the overseers. That's all that is. Give Savion Wilkerson a scholarship. Bring him in. Let him get a chance to compete. You know he's out there floating around. Jackson State doesn't want him back. At least that's what it seems. You know, once you enter the portal, the school that you left is no longer obligated to give you a scholarship. They're free from that. Let's see if Prime brings Savion Wilkerson, who he raved about while he was at Jackson State, to Colorado. If for nothing else, to finish his education, get him on a roster, get him on a scholarship. You're about helping your people. Now, he had a show that, you know, and this is the thing you guys have to remember about Slime. He's an opportunist. And again, we're talking about him. You know, he has this extravagant introduction for his son, Shiloh, who's coming in as a cornerback. Notice he put him in a South Carolina uniform, but he's been not playing for South Carolina. Why would you show him on a South Carolina uniform? Just to remind people that he had mop-up duty with them? My man even said it on Go Buffs. He even got attacked for just saying, look, you're bringing in a lot of guys that, you know, are rejects. There's only maybe 5 of them who are legit players. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't understand why he's trying to boost his son. You notice how he gives him the pub, lays his uniform out, brings in a Louis bag. Like I said, you better win. You have to win. And, you know, the TV deals that they're supposedly getting with Fox for this season, they want to, okay, it could be the Slime effect. I won't argue that. But it's not all because of him. All right, this is a $1 billion university again, like I said. And these guys are being led astray because if you're not a dog like he says you are, guess what? He's going to throw you away too. He does not care about your education. He cares how well you can play football. Okay? And if you're not good up to his standards while you are on the Colorado roster, watch out. People are going to turn on you. And for all those defenders of Slime, you know, you need to get up off your knees. Just get up off your knees. This man can defend himself, but he's hiding behind all of you guys. Okay? He wants to say that y'all can win it all. Say it. Say that you're going to win all the games. You're putting pressure on them anyway. You expect them to perform at a high level. All these players that don't know each other. You're talking about Chance Main again. The first when he left, all your supporters were dogging him. But it seems like as soon as they come back, all of a sudden he's getting some pub. And he's saying this, he's touting you guys all in the name of publicity. That's all he's ever been, as a publicity machine. Okay. That's all he will ever be is promoting himself. You don't see Nebraska's coach. You don't see Alabama's coach, Florida's coach, Texas coach with all that media stuff going on. That's only him. So there you have it as far as how I feel that he's pimping these young black men. Now you see him on Outkick, which is a right wing sports column show. All right. And he's talking about his philosophy on motivation. Listen, it's easy for a multimillionaire to say this is what it takes to make it. Not everyone's going to make it. And I tell you, he's not going to make it. Shador's not going to make it. And again, like I said, he's probably the weakest link at the most important position on the field, which is quarterback. Everyone's saying that he's this guy. I tell you what, when the summer practices start, and they will start, and the Colorado media, I believe, is allowed in those practices, he'll try to keep them out. He'll try to control what they're reporting because he doesn't want anything to get out. He wants it to be secretive. But listen, that should be public. It always has been. Let the fans know what's going on in the practices, right? Let them anticipate. Give them something to be, excited about other than just the hype machine. And we're supposed to take your word for it. Let us know if he's throwing those picks in practice. Let us know if he's moving the ball up and down the field in practice. That'll let us know how good the defense is or how bad the offense is. So, don't be fooled by all the blame. He's just playing y'all like a fiddle. You're young men. You don't have his status. He's the pastor and he wants y'all to believe him like the gospel. Just know one thing. Get your education, man. Because he don't care about you. Look, he had Jackson State players who came with him, and then a couple of them ended up leaving. I'm not sure if that was on their own free will. I think they were suggested probably to leave because he felt like he got something a little better than you and maybe helped you find another landing spot. But again, I go back to Tavion Wilkinson. He is the example. He's the example right there. That man is in limbo right now because all Slime made it seem that was important was him running that football. What about his education? Bring the man on. All right? Let him see what he can do. You already said he was a dog, but now that you're at a Power 5, right? And now that at HBCU, you don't need him anymore. You need your son. You need Travis Hunter, definitely, but you don't need him. And he shows you the man don't care. He's just straight pimping. That is it. So, look, I'm not saying that I have them possibly going 0-12, maybe 1-11. Yes, the games won't be blowouts. There might be a little closer, some of them. Games like Colorado, maybe Arizona State, maybe Stanford, closer. But they're not going to win those games. They're not. Again, a lot of these players, I would say like 70% of them were either performed at a very lower level, performed well at a very lower level. And the ones that he got from Power 5 schools, all except for maybe 2 of them, had any significant playing time. And you know why? Like I said, he's using it, his own media. And then he uses Outkick, the right-wing media. I told you this, man. He's an appeaser of the higher-ups, of the overseers. He would have made a good slave overseer, especially with all that speed he had. Because he'd be running down slaves for boss. I caught him, boss. I caught him. Here you go. Where's my butter biscuits? That's what he wants. And then he code switches and pretend like he's gangster or he's hood, and he feels like that's how he has to relate to them. Not like a Carl Durrell, who's previous coach. At least that man had some class and dignity. He might not have won, but he had class and dignity. He also played in the NFL. Prime sold Rick George, the athletic director of Billy Good. He told him, I can get my boys in here. I can get them out the field. I can get them. You know, I'm Dion. I can get them. Look what he's got. No 5 stars, a couple 4 stars. You need blue chip athletes to even compete at this level. And what they're hoping is that these guys will prove not only to themselves, but to the nation that they were better than they were graded out to be at the very beginning of their college careers. That's what he's banking on. And he's putting a little fear in them. And he, like I said, they're gonna work them like mules. And look, Prime is not really good at putting sentences together, so he uses his assistant coaches to do all the talking basically, and then he'll come in and give like a short sentence. He'll have stuff already written out on the board. Speak from the heart. Stand up in front of those young men and speak with some class and dignity. That's not what you do. So that's all I have to say on my rant. But when you went on Outkick, and I advise those to watch it, he sounds ridiculous. Why go on Outkick? You know, well, again, like I said, any black man who puts their arm around Cindy Hyde Smith as if, see, she's not that bad. She liked me. Please. They like what you can do for them. You try to make her name look good. And I'm not sure why anyone's not appalled that he even did that. I can't believe Jackson State allowed it, but they allowed a lot of things for him to do, including shitting on them when he left. So, you know, that's just how it happens sometimes. All right. Now let's move over to Shannon Sharpe. As we know, he's leaving FS1 as the sidekick to Skip Bayless and Undisputed. And now, there was a time when Shannon was like, he was really starting to come into his own. You know, I remember when he started out at CBS with his football, you know, his diction wasn't that well, even though he was very smart, but he improved over years, over like a 10-year period. And he ends up in a really good spot with Skip, who wanted to bring him more. And he has Skip to thank for that. You know, Skip has a lot of control over who he does his shows with. He left ESPN and went to FS1, making a lot more money and has creative control. He's been in the business for like 50 years. So, you know, the man has super credibility. He, you know, has more sports knowledge than a lot of sports writers today. Starting out at the LA Times back in the early to mid 70s as a graduate of Vanderbilt University. There's a good journalism school. He's a Cowboy fan too, like me. So, but even with that aside, he's excellent at what he does. And you know, Shannon seems to be getting in little mishaps lately. You know, I mean, he's almost 60 years old, not quite, mid 50s, like 55. But you know, getting into it with Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies during the NBA playoff game, and then he gets into it with Kwame Brown, former NBA player, #1 overall pick, who was quite a serviceable player, despite what people think. He played 13 years. You know, you're not a bust if you play 13 years. And then he gets his jewelry stolen. Supposedly, someone breaks in his house. The police says it doesn't look like forced entry. You know, you're a multimillionaire, and it doesn't look like forced entry. Something just seems funny about that. You know, why didn't your alarm go off? Or you can look at your phone and see someone breaking in your house. You get home and you realize that you've been robbed. People know exactly where to find the goods, and they're out. And then you give a measly $50,000 reward when they have over $1 million worth of jewelry. Like, you're gonna have to raise that a lot higher than that. People are laughing at that 50,000, right? So, you know, with all of that going on with them, I believe FS1 said, you know what? this is a distraction. You have to have a certain decorum about you when you're in the public eye. And I think Shannon kind of slid off the spectrum a little bit because he was doing really good. During the riots and with the George Floyd episode that we all went through, he was like our champion. And it just seemed like, being out in LA, Hollywood kind of got to him. Not that he hung out with the king or he supports the king. Even though people have issue with that, I love LeBron James. I think he's the greatest. It is what it is. But when you get caught up in that limelight, sometimes you can be blinded by the light. You get out of character. You start to act out, and then he has a successful show called Club Shay Shay, I believe it's called, where now he's interviewing rappers, just celebrities of all sorts, and it kind of gets away from football. When he's known for sports, and I'm not saying that he can't branch out. I'm just saying that football and sports was your bread and butter because that's what people know you for. You're not Hollywood. I know you live there. I know your show is out of LA and you're in the high circles, high society circle. Anytime you hang with LeBron, it's like, you're up there. You can't get any higher as far as the social circle in that environment. And we can lose ourselves. We can forget why we got into this business in the first place. And I think probably one of the worst things he did is when he did a segment on Deion Sanders and Colorado football. It was completely biased interview. Like couldn't be, there's nothing that you could get from that interview. It was all planned. He was throwing them super softball questions on everything and agreeing with them on top of that. No pushback whatsoever. And what little pushback he did give, it was so slight you didn't even know it was pushback. So I think he lost a lot of credibility with people, at least with me in that sense, and a lot of other people, because it's like you got to be an objective journalist if you're going to be in this business. You can't show favor to friends when you're trying to do your work in public. People can see that. And I believe that's what he was trying to do. That's what he did. And it didn't go over well with a lot of people. I stopped watching FS1 like three months ago, which is a shame because I just felt like he wasn't bringing anything to the show. Everything seemed to be a little personal with him, especially as it came to LeBron. And like I said, I love LeBron. I think he's the greatest. But you got to show a little objectivity when it comes to criticisms and praise of people. And I believe he doesn't do that. And that can turn a lot of people off. So he will be off the show, FS1, after the NBA playoffs. He has a buyout. So anytime you have a buyout, I think it lets you know, like, it's pretty serious. And I personally believe he's not wanted on the show anymore. When that happens, you're not wanted on the show anymore. Like, they've had enough. And I think they've looked at just different things that have been going on with Shannon. There's not a good representation of their station and their product. And I believe they've told him that. And, maybe he'll bounce back. LeBron has all kinds of media networks, so I'm sure he'll find something for him where he can, keep on doing something on his platform. And yeah, this is a bit of a hard pill to swallow, for Shannon. And I hope he learns from it and learns how to be a true journalist and just tell it like it is, even if it's someone that you really like. Because, the audience makes you. So that's all I have to say for Guru's Rant today. And remember, I'm here for all the smoke. So I'll be here. Just don't you go anywhere. All right. Peace. I'm out.